Welcome to the On Deck podcast for all your baseball DFS needs with your superstar hosts, fantasy baseball experts, Casey, Bubba, and Bogman. On Deck podcast is sponsored by LineStar app, the #1 top-rated data and analytics tool for daily fantasy sports.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the On Deck MLB DFS podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at LineStar App and at LineStar MLB, and download the app in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store, because you need that app to build those winning DFS lineups in all sports. Even if you're playing Olympic golf this week, they got that covered for you. There's MMA every weekend, and that's about it right now with baseball. There's not a whole lot else going on, but they'll have you covered over there on that LineStar app. You can check me out on Twitter at BDintric. And my co-host, as always, on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Scott Bogman, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Bo Bichette goes yard. Kutch hits a walk-off. Luis Garcia looking good so far. So, great day for me. I love it.
Yep, so far so good here. Tigers just tied it up in the ninth, so Badu might get one more chance to make it a three-way tonight. We'll see how that goes.
Let's go.
He got a ground rule double his first at bat. I'm like, oh, you son of a... So, yeah, so riveting, because our buddy Mr. Humphreys, he got two from Mr. Jorge Soler. So that was
kind of already a 3-homer night,
Yeah, in a roundabout way. I'll just see myself out. Yes, that's how it goes. So it's all good. It's all good. But bright side is the Diamondbacks didn't lose today, so you're okay.
They did not. Yeah, didn't play. Couldn't lose.
So we got that going for you. And, you could be in Japan where you're trying to play beach volleyball in the middle of a monsoon and can't serve it. So that's been entertaining as well. Sorry, it just came up on my TV and I just laughed really hard about that. That's the Olympics, folks. All right, we have 15 games for you on Tuesday. 15 whopping games. So I'll stop blabbering about nonsense like the Olympics, and we'll talk about your 15-game slate, which is locked and loaded with some good pitching, some awesome places to hit, and all the chaos you can imagine in baseball. Kicking it off with Miami Marlins at the Baltimore Orioles. We got Alcantara versus Spencer Watkins. Over under 9.5 on this one. Alcantara is 85 on DK, 93 on FanDuel. Watkins 56 and 68. Alcantara missed his last start. He was put, I believe, on the bereavement list. And Watkins was outstanding his last time out. And he comes at quite the discount tonight, Bogman. So what's your thoughts on these two?
I mean, what I put on Watkins here is quality start last time out, maybe a contrarian play. So maybe just, a low-owned Baltimore pitcher here, but he is fairly cheap. So maybe he's going to be a little more owned than I suspect, but he's the only option. I'm not going to go with Alcantara after his last two starts for 4 and 3 innings. So I like some hitters here. Cedric Mullins has been hitting. Starling Marte has been hitting. Lewis Brinson been hitting a little bit, and he's a cheap option, 22 and 2,000. Rojas, Brian Anderson's off the DL, and he's cheap, 34 and 27. Trey Mancini is always in play, so I think I'd rather have bats here.
Yeah, I don't mind that if you want to have bats. I do like Watkins as an SP2 on DK. I think he will be popular, so people can afford bats, which makes me want some Marlins action later on, most likely. But as of now, before we see any actual ownership, I like Watkins as an SP2 for sure. I'll be using some of that. And then if you want to use some bats, you can. 15-game slate. Not running to use anybody in this game, but Watkins will be my priority as an SP2 on DK. Milwaukee at Pittsburgh. This should be a fun one. Brett Anderson, Tyler Anderson, the battle of the left-handed Andersons. Over under 8.5 on this one. 7,266 for Brett, 7K and 69 for Tyler. All the bats or some pitching?
I like Tyler a little bit. His last start versus Milwaukee on July 4th was 7 innings, no earned, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So pretty decent. Makes me out on Brewers bats. But there's some Pirates bats to buy. Reynolds 3 for 8 against Brett Anderson. Then, Jackie Bradley has been decent recently, but on the Pittsburgh side, Gamble, Newman, Polanco are all in play right now.
Yeah, the other guy you can mention, Nagowski, from the right side of the plate, playing first base for Pittsburgh. Always cheap. Pittsburgh's always cheap, folks. If you need some value, you can go there, because I have no problem targeting Brett Anderson whenever and however and all the time, basically. So I'm fine with that if you want some Pittsburgh value for sure. I'm not sure you're going to need a ton of it. So if you want to make like a 2-man stack, that's fine. But like I say, I talk about it a lot, saying they're great value. And if anybody watched them play the Giants on Friday and Saturday, that's why they're great value, because they'll do it like 2 times a week. And if you're on them, it's good stuff. So don't mind them in that matchup. If you want to go Tyler Anderson, I guess. But I actually like some like Willie Adames, Urias, that kind of setup there. if you want to attack Anderson. Not a great ballpark to hit in, though, so keep that in mind as well. Washington at Philadelphia. In this one, Eric Fede versus Matt Moore. Over under of 10 in this one. Fede's 8K on DK, 64 on FanDuel, Moore 66 and 58. Fede looked really good his last time out. He's been up and down all season. Mentioned Philadelphia's been kind of struggling. Ross threw 5 solid before he got yanked and the bullpen blew it. Are you in on Fede, or is it all the bats free on this one?
No, Fede's had 2 starts versus Philly, 9 innings, 8 earned, 5 strikeouts, 7 walks. So just not a good track record against them. So I'm going to pass on him. I'll stick to bats here. Harper, 6 for 15 with 4 homers against Fede, 5 for 19 with 2 bombs for Hoskins. Zimmerman 4 for 9 against Moore with 2 homers, 5 for 10 for Alcides with a bomb against Moore. And then, your boy Soto is hitting. I guess if Trey Turner doesn't get traded, you can still play him. They said every national not named Soto is available in a trade. So all these guys could be gone. Harrison's cheap, and he's been hitting 38 and 28. Torreyes, Gene Segura, and of course Kutch with the walk-off tonight. I love the momentum that he's got. So I'll stick the bats in this game.
Yeah, the Turner thing is funny because they said, we put Turner on the list because we've tried to extend him, but he is not being receptive to our offers. I was like, oh, so this is a straight up, hey, Esther, get off the pot situation, kid.
Throw him right under the bus.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. He's only 28, and he's your star shortstop. Good job, Nats. I love attacking Matt Moore, so I like Washington quite a bit on this one. Soto hits lefties just fine. Trey Turner's a great play. Josh Harrison's great value. Another great game from him on Monday night. So there's a lot to like there. Berea's the cheap catcher. They'll be mixing a match. Ryan Zimmerman usually plays first base as a value. You mentioned 31 on DK, 26. He usually plays first base versus lefties. So Washington will be one of my favorite spots on this one. No problem if you want to attack Fede. It's like he's all or nothing. So roll the dice, see which one comes up in your direction. But definitely like some Washington bats versus Matt Moore. Atlanta at the New York Mets on this one. No totals. They put a double dip on Monday, and that just wrapped up a little while ago. Charlie Morton, 98 on DK, 86 on FanDuel versus Anthony Banda, 48 and 56. He came over from Tampa Bay in a recent trade. I like Morton. I'm going to keep riding him out there, Boggs.
Yeah, 3 starts for him versus the Mets. 19 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 26-3 strikeout to walk rate. This is Banda's first start since 2018, so I'll pass on him. But I do like Morton, and then maybe some Atlanta bats. Freddie Freeman, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies are all in play today.
Yeah, I don't see Banda going too deep either, but if he does, like Guillermo Heredia is an option from the right side of the plate. Dansby Swanson has a few others. But pretty much Morton for me is where I want to go. Get those strikeouts. He's been able to just – the strikeout upside has been tremendous with Charlie. So go to Chuck out there and see what happens. New York Yankees at the Tampa Bay Rays. We have Jordan Montgomery versus Shane McClanahan. Over-under of 8 in this one. Jomo, 67 on DK, 72 on FanDuel. McClanahan, 93 on DK, 89 on FanDuel. The Yankees' offense has been absolutely dreadful. But can you pay that much for McClanahan when he doesn't go that deep into games?
I just can't, and that's the note I have here is high K upside, but I'm not interested because he doesn't go deep enough. And Montgomery's been decent versus Tampa Bay. He's got 4 starts versus him, a 3.86 ERA over 23 innings, 23 and a third, 26-7 strikeout rate. But I'm just, I'll pick and choose some hitters here. There's Zunino, 2 for 4. Both hits were bombs against Montgomery. So I guess he would be in play at 42 and 23. Rosarena has been hitting. Cruz obviously in play. Torres with all of his swipes. Greg Allen's been real good. So I'll just pick and choose some bats here. I'm not really interested in the pitchers.
I think Jomo's an interesting SP2 on DK because I think Watkins will be very popular. Jomo looked great his last start there versus Boston. Looked really, really good. And we've seen the ups and downs with him. The Tampa Bay offense has been really bad versus lefties most of this year. So I think Montgomery as a contrarian SP2, he's in play. Like if you want to attack him with Zaninos and Rosarenas, sure. But I like Montgomery in that matchup, and I don't really like any Yankees bats, period. St. Louis at Cleveland on this one. We got Wainwright versus Quantrill, over under of 9. Waino's 88 on DK, 97 on FanDuel. Quantrill 65 and 71. Any interest in like Wainwright in this one?
Yeah, I mean, 7 of his last 9 have been quality. He had a start against Cleveland on June 9th, 7 innings, 2 earned, 6 strikeouts, no walks. So I'm in on starting Wainwright today. Not interested in Quantrill. So that makes me interested in St. Louis bats too. Bader has just been mashing, and he's probably more correctly priced on FanDuel, 3,000. He's 2,500 on DK. That's a buy for me for sure. Carlson has been hitting, another guy that's more expensive on FanDuel, and then Arenado, Goldie, and Edman all in play too. So I like Waino and some cards bats.
I'm with you. I don't mind Waino if you want to go there. 88 on DK, even 97 on FanDuel's interesting. It's getting pricey, but it's interesting. Like him on DK for sure. And this Cardinals bats, like you said, are heating up. Quantrill's pitching to a lot of contact these days. Carlson leading off. He's swinging it really well. And the fact he's only 29 on DK is mind-boggling. 35 on FanDuel, that's probably appropriate. 29 on DK is crazy. Arenado and Goldie you have to pay for, like you mentioned, but there's a lot to like in this offense. Even Tyler O'Neill went deep over the weekend. So, and he's been dreadful over the last like 3 or 4 weeks. But just Carlson, Arenado, and Goldie alone is a nice start to a stack in that one. Toronto at Boston. We have another fun one on our hands here. Robbie Ray versus Garrett Richards, over under 10.5. Ray's 10-1 on DK, 10,000 on FanDuel. Any interest in Robbie Ray, and how many Jays bats do you want?
Yeah, not really interested in Robbie Ray. He's been okay versus Boston. 11 innings, 7 earned, 14 strikeouts, 4 walks over his 2 starts. So I'm just a little leery on him, and he's expensive, so I'm going to pass. I'll stick to bats here. It's Bogarts, Verdugo, Vlad, Teoscar, Bo Bichette also in play. There's good PVB here too. Teoscar 11 for 6 with a homer, 3 for 11 for Bichette, 3 for 8 for Verdugo, 3 for 8 for Bogarts. And then Kike, Devers, Renfroe, JD, Springer, Simeon, all these guys have been hitting, but they're obviously expensive. So you have to pick and choose.
Yeah, I'll go back to Toronto on this one. I don't mind if you want to use Robbie Ray in tournaments. Boston's swinging a little better, but if you really go under the hood, you see the runs of late, but most of that's coming against bullpens late. They've been struggling against the starters. Not saying they can't hit Robbie Ray, but I think he's an intriguing pay-up spot if you're paying up. But I do like the Toronto bats for sure. Vlad, Bichette for sure. But then I mentioned Springer the other night. I still like him at 45 on DK, 43 on FanDuel. I love Teoscar at 43 on 37. Mix and match some others if you want. But I definitely want to go back to Toronto against Garrett Richards, who it's not good. Arizona at Texas. Taylor Widener, Dane Dunning, over under 8.5. I'm kind of surprised the total's so low, to be honest. Maybe that's more a detriment to the offense, it's not the pitching. Widener 77 on DK, 65 on FanDuel. Dunning 64 and 77. So with the low total, any interest in either arm?
I think I put Widener maybe in like the Watkins category, just high K upside. And you've mentioned lefties versus Texas many times on this podcast. So I maybe, but I'm more interested in bats. Varsho's been hot. Pavin Smith's been hot. Peralta. I mean, Andy Ibanez is 26 in 2000. If he's in the lineup, he's been pretty good recently. Maybe, Nick Ahmed has been hitting, but he's too expensive. I don't know. Couple bats here, but I don't like a lot of this game.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I'd like to keep riding Arizona. They're hitting really good in Chicago. Dunning's a heavy ground ball guy. I think I'm just going to pass on this game altogether. It's just it just makes me feel queasy. So I'm just going to pass on Arizona and Texas. There's 15 games. It means 14 other ones I can play with. Cincinnati at Chicago. Vladimir Gutierrez, Adbert Alzolay. No total because it's Wrigley Field. Gutierrez 78 and 61. Alzolay 83 and 75. Reds bats have been very good, and Gutierrez has been very bad. I think it says game stack potential, Bogman.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want nothing to do with Gutierrez. 1 strikeout in his last 10 innings, so pass. Alzolay has 2 starts for Cincinnati, 12 and 2/3, 3 earned, 12 strikeouts, 4 walks. Not bad. Not mind-blowing, though. So I'll probably stick mainly with bats here. Votto, 3 for 4 with a bomb against Alzolay, 2 for 7 for Stevenson with 2 doubles against him. But then Winker, India, Farmer, Naquin have been hitting. I guess you could go Baez. Chirinos has been hitting. Rizzo, Bryant, if he doesn't get traded. There's a little to pick and choose from. A lot of these lineups are pick and choosy. There's not a lot of great stacks today.
Yeah, Votto's been red hot. Went deep again on Monday. I'll keep riding that train. India had a nice game. Winker's heating up, like I said last night. Got another double, I believe, and more on Monday. You can mix and match. Like Arestas Aquino is cheap. He's batting that 3rd right now if you want to go there, or you go Naquin for cheap batting 5th. So there's options in that Cincinnati lineup I saw. I like some of the exposure there, but Gutierrez has been really bad. Lots of walks, lots of pitch to contact. Rizzo went deep on Monday. Yeah, if Chris Bryant's not traded, he's in play. Javi Baez is supposed to miss maybe another game or 2, so you'll get some cheap shortstop action there. I believe it's Ortega, I believe. You'll get him up the middle. So, yeah, lots to like with this Chicago-Cincinnati game. Some value to be had as well. Like Votto at 41 is too cheap on TK.
Yeah.
Next game on the agenda, Chicago White Sox at the Kansas City Royals. Dylan Cease, Brad Keller, over under 9.5. Cease 86 on DK, 82 on FanDuel. Keller 59 and 74. Cease has been getting strikeouts lately, but also getting into trouble. Kansas City had a decent game on Monday. Do you trust Cease tonight?
I trust him a little. I'll throw him in there. He has 2 starts against Kansas City, 10 and a third, only 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, 6 walks. So he's been pretty good against them, but his last start was May 16th. So I don't know how much I want to take from that. Same deal with Keller, 3 starts versus Chicago, but his last one was May 14th, but he gave up 9 earned and 14 and a third. So I'll stick to mainly bats here with a little love for Cease. But Chicago, Moncada 9 for 32 with 2 bombs. Against Keller, 9 for 26 for Leury Garcia with 2 doubles against him, and then Abreu, Vaughn, Hamilton, and of course, like you mentioned yesterday, Eloy coming back, all in play.
Yeah, no, I don't mind Cease, especially in tournaments with the strikeout upside he will bring to the table. And then it's the usual suspects with Chicago. I'm a big fan of, you mentioned Moncada, Anderson, but Vaughn is still ridiculously too cheap. Eloy is still ridiculously too cheap. Just have some fun with this Chicago offense versus Keller. Keller had a couple nice starts there. I still don't believe that's the pitcher he is. So I'll take some Chicago White Sox bats, give me some Dylan Cease, and we rock and roll. Detroit at Minnesota. Another fun one here, folks. Really, really fun one. Tyler Alexander, Kenta Maeda, over under of 9. Alexander 5K and 63. Maeda 82 and 83. And Maeda's been outstanding since coming back from the IL. So I think this is a pretty much lock and load as much as I love my Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, Maeda, like you said, been solid in July, and he's had 2 starts against Detroit in July. 10 innings pitched, 3 earned, 15 strikeouts, 3 walks. So I do like him, like you said, which makes us out on Detroit bats, in on maybe some Minnesota bats here. Polanco's 4 for 7 against Alexander. Kepler, Garver, Donaldson have all been hitting. So those are the bats I picked through.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Minnesota versus Alexander, I'll jump on those. Donaldson went deep again on Monday night. Garver's still heating up. So like those are starters, as you mentioned, like Brent Rooker, Kepler, they've been swinging it. So yeah, I like some Minnesota versus Alexander 100% with you on that one. And then Maeda at his price point, especially on DK 82 and FanDuel at 83. Very, very nice value. Couple more games to go here. 4 more games to go here on our 15-game slate. So get a drink of water, take a break, and go to YouTube. Check out the LineStar YouTube channel and subscribe, give a thumbs up, all that good stuff there. And also go to iTunes and give a rate and review on the podcast. When you're done, come back and finish the last 4 games with us. And it starts out with Colorado at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We got Austin Gomber versus Jose Suarez. Over under of 9 on this one. Gomber 71 and 8,800. Suarez 73 and 7K. And honestly, Bogman, I think both pitchers are warranted SP2 discussion on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't skip a game since we've been doing this. I think this might be the most skippable game. If you're looking for one thing, though, it's the pitchers. I think they both have good draws playing against each other because the offensive haven't been great recently. So I guess maybe on both pitchers, and I don't really want any of the hitters unless you want to pay for Ohtani.
Yeah, no, it's the pitchers for me. I like them both. I think they're both in play. Gomber's been better, but better at home. I think both are options. Both have strikeout upside. Good, cheap options. This is why you might not have to pay up for pitching. You got these two. We talked about Watkins, Montgomery, and a few other guys. Maeda's cheap. You can get some savings to get some bats on this slate. No problem at all. Los Angeles Dodgers at the San Francisco Giants. Julio Urias versus Logan Webb, over under of 8. We saw this matchup last week, and it was a great pitcher's duel. Do we get it again tonight, Bogman?
Yeah, I mean, I like Urias. He last start, like you mentioned, 7 innings, 1 earned, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. And Webb has been great against the Dodgers in his 2 starts. He's had 10 innings, 3 earned, 12 strikeouts, 3 walks. So it kind of makes me like bats less. But if you want to go contrarian, and there's little PVB data here: 4 for 12 for Posey with 2 doubles against Urias, 3 for 11 for Slater with a bomb, 3 for 10 for Ruff with a double, 5 for 18 for Solano with a bomb, 3 for 5 for Turner with 3 doubles against Webb, and 4 for 10 for Taylor, who is the hottest hitter in baseball right now, with a bomb. So I get wanting some bats, but I think I'm more interested in the pitching here.
Yeah, the bats are intriguing, and especially some of those Giants righties versus lefties, which we like. But I think it's pitching or bust, like you said. If you want to go Urias, he's actually like almost $1,000 cheaper than when they met up last week, which makes him a little bit more appealing to me, which is fine. At the same time, I'm good either skipping this game or taking some pitchers. I'm probably going to pass on Webb, but that's if you're feeling really frisky. I don't think you need to on a 15-game slate. But Urias, not the worst of options. Houston at the Seattle Mariners. Lance McCullers, Chris Flexen, over under 8.5. McCullers 10-4 on DK, 10-5 on FanDuel, Flexen 75 and 73. Both these pitchers have been pretty good of late. Bogman's interest in either.
Yeah, I like McCullers. I'm kind of surprised these division opponents and this first time McCullers has thrown against Seattle this year. Flexen to me, I know he's been good, but he just never has enough K upside to warrant the risk, especially against Houston, where he might get smashed. So I'll pass on him and go McCullers and maybe some Houston bats. Correa is 2 for 5 against Flexen. Tucker, Altuve, Jordan Alvarez, Brantley, Gurriel, Straw have all been hitting a little bit. So they're expensive to stack, but I'll go a couple Houston hitters and McCullers.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think McCullers is a great play. He brings a phenomenal floor to the matchup. Even his last start, people look at the game log, and it was that last inning that got him. Like, he was pitching very, very well in that game. So I'll go back to that with the strikeout upside he brings against a Seattle team that strikes out a ton right now. So definitely give me some Lance McCullers at 10-4 on DK, 10-5 on FanDuel. And then, yeah, I like the bats. Keep playing Jose Altuve. He's just ridiculously good right now. But keep playing Kyle Tucker. The fact he's only 33 on DK is ridiculous. 33 on FanDuel is okay, but 33 on DK went deep again on Monday night. So he's a strong play. Brantley's only 3.
I feel like the first thing you would do if you were running DK, you would just walk in and raise the price on Tucker. Yeah, that's the first thing you'd do.
It's
because every time you see his price, you're like, what are they doing? It's time.
Stupid. It's so bad. It's egregious. So yeah, Kyle Tucker is too cheap, and you can just pick and mix and match. Like, honestly, most of the Astros are too cheap tonight. So quite surprising by that one. So I like them as well on this slate. Last game we got for you here. Oakland Athletics at the San Diego Padres. James Caprillion, Chris Paddock, over under 8.5. Caprillion 94 on DK, 79 on FanDuel. Paddock 81 and 67. Caprillion's been outstanding. Do you put him in front of this Padres offense?
I get the risk because 4 out of his last 5 have been quality. He's been real good. But you're really playing with fire. So it's a tournament lineup only for me. Otherwise, I'll just stick with bats. I'm a hard pass on Paddock because even when he's good, then he doesn't strike anybody out. So I'll go with, Olsen, Laureano, Kemp, Canna have all been hitting for Oakland, or, the usual suspects for San Diego, Tatis, Machado. Frazier now in that lineup in 34 and 27 is pretty nice. And then Profar has been hitting and he's cheap, 22 on either. So I'll stick to bats here.
And with you on Caprillion, I'm a huge Caprillion fan. I have him in a ton of season-long leagues. I think he's a great tournament pivot tonight. Like, on DK at 94, not very many people all are going to roster him. 79 on FanDuel is extremely cheap. It'll get you all the bats you want. Just know there's a lot of risk. It's the Padres, but he's been great. If he can throw you 6 quality innings, you're going to be feeling pretty good about life. Flip side, always stack against Chris Paddock. I love Matt Olson at $5,500 on DK, 41 on FanDuel. I think it's great. Stack up your Oakland Athletics, as you mentioned. Laureano, Kana, Lowry's been swinging it well. There's a few other options in that lineup. So have some fun beating up on Chris Paddock, which we love to do to end a Tuesday night. Before we get into the fun stuff here, Bogman, let's recap things. Who are your top pitchers on this slate?
I got 5 that I like to pick from: Morton, Urias, McCullers, Wainwright, and Maeda. And then 3 other maybes for me are Dylan Cease, Tyler Anderson. Actually 2, because I wrote Dylan Cease down here twice. So Cease or Anderson are my other 2 guys I like.
Yeah, my pay-up spots would be like Morton, McCullers. I'm okay with Urias, and then Kenta Maeda. Are those are the big ones for me. And then you could go Cease, Suarez, Gomber, Jomo, and Watkins. I love a lot of value. Like, I probably won't pay up for a lot of pitching tonight. I'll get some bats. Like, it'll help me get the Jays and these other guys super easy. I don't think I need to pay up if I can just wade in the cheap nastiness that is the lower price range, at least on DK. FanDuel, get your one good pitcher and walk away. DK, where I play most of my action, I'll save some cash. Who you stacking up on this slate?
I like Atlanta against the Mets and Banda, St. Louis versus Milwaukee, Pittsburgh versus Milwaukee, Minnesota versus Detroit, and Philly at Washington.
Yeah, I like Washington at Philly as well. And that Matt Moore is always a fun one to go up against. So give me some of that action. Toronto, 100% versus Garrett Richards. Let's have fun there. I don't mind Atlanta, as you mentioned as well. And then a few others here. That Cincinnati-Chicago game just screams stack them up to me, so I'm a fan of that. Chicago White Sox, like them versus Kansas City quite a bit. And then the Houston Astros. Houston Astros versus Flexen, and the Oakland Athletics versus Paddock. Those would be the ones I'm focusing on. And so I don't know if you have to go full stacks, make some mini stacks, kind of look for some home runs. And speaking of home runs, if you check out LineStar on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar MLB, they tweet out a lot of great stuff, including the home run calls of the day from Bogman, Humphreys, and myself. And Bogman and Humphreys both went deep on Monday. So they got 2 lucky retweeters some free swag. All you got to do is retweet the home run call of the day, and they'll pick 3 lucky retweeters. You get paired up with each of us. Whoever got paired up with Bogman, let's make it simple. Whoever got paired up with me, I'm sorry. But the other 2 guys got you some free swag and make it a lot easier for you. So Bogman, on Tuesday, July 27th, 15 games to pick from, all 30 teams. That's 30 times 270 starting batters. Who's your home run call today?
Give me Bryce Harper against Fetty. I know he hasn't been hitting bombs post-break, but he's going to get off the schneid here. Let's go.
I don't mind that at all. I'm going to go with one that he's been kind of quiet for his standards. He's had a few homers post-break, but he's got great history in this matchup. Give me Vladito. Vladito going deep for the Toronto Blue Jays. You're taking Bryce Harper. We'll see who Ryan Humphreys takes. One of these days, we'll get a 3-peat, and it won't be my fault. So we'll make it happen. Until then, got stuck with 2. Just the way it's going to go. So check out LineStar. Get on Twitter at LineStar app, at LineStar MLB. Bogman at Bogman Sports. I'm at BD Intro. We'll be back again on Wednesday with a smaller slate, but good luck, everybody.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the LineStar app On Deck podcast. Download LineStar app from the App Store or go to linestarapp.com for all your DFS baseball needs. If you love the On Deck podcast, support KC, Bubba, and Bogman by rating and subscribing. Good luck.